there's a sticker.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to cut the sticker.
Here we go. Now she comes right off. So now we can see that she has been submersed. And what I'm curious about is whether or not this is the stator is stuck, but it's not. You can see that actually rotates there a little bit, but my goodness, the amount of corrosion. Guess that's what happens when it gets dropped in a bucket of water with a battery on it. Still gets power through to everything. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take a brush, clean up a lot of this, and
It's so dirty.
clean up these contact points here. Boy, I'm gonna pull all this loose. Okay.
Oh.
I mean, look at that inside of that. Just gross. That was the one thing I was gonna get.
This got loose.
With some more brushes. Yep. Just hold on. All right, Jeff. Got a toothbrush, so that should allow me to get in here a little bit closer and look at some of this stuff. You can see it's just needs to be cleaned up a little. Anytime it's got a contact point, you want that to be nice and clean so you can see some of the corrosion right on there. But I'm curious what exactly this plate does. Oh, I need a T10. T15. Too big. Where do I put my T10 in? Jackson, where'd the T10 go that we were just using? Mm-hmm. See the T15. Oh, Jet wanted it. That's what. All right, here we go. I'm very curious to take this plate off. See what exactly this is for. Nice part about this bathroom brush is it's a little bit stiffer. And I've also got this wire wheel that I can use a little bit to knock some corrosion off. Where'd my... Did have an adhesive. You can even see that's like pitted from when it was actually. Oh, that. Let me hit this. No, that's soft enough where it's scratching it. You can see some of those scratches on there. But that is 100% pitted on this end, which is interesting. A little bit on this side. And look at that pitting. Okay, so that's cleaned off. What do you got here? Contact's fine. Because those are soldered, I'm not really worried about those as a contact point. Same thing with this connection down here. Those are all fine, that's soldered in. These could be cleaned up. You can see that down in there. When you're standing?
I'm standing too much.
Oh, and this is the direction.
It hurts my knees. Ow.
Not a lot of corrosion or anything there. Just get that cleaned up. Cleaned up. Cleaned up. No contact points. Those are soldered. That's good. Curious. Take a look at that thing. See, outside's got a lot of corrosion on it. Not a super stiff brush. You can even take the brush and just. There we go. Much cleaner. Now the real question is, how do I get? Look at all of that filings that are on the inside. I don't know what that is from. This part is, we've got this brush. I can clean all that out with. Just be careful. It's going to fall off. And the other thing about it, oh, you know what else? Also have this. 100% cleaner. Outside looks better. This is my next area of concern because this isn't soldered. I don't know if this is stiff enough to break loose some of that corrosion that you can see there. Oh yeah. Coming loose. Those points look fine. Braided wire. Yep, that's okay. It's nothing that can't be cleaned up. Now these two are not soldered, which I'd love to yank them loose. And just, I suppose the connection point just needs to be probably worked back and forth a little bit to rub something loose so that I can get a good clean contact with each side. And these are both spring loaded. Oh yeah, so we could slide that out there.
Nope.
Get in there and actually clean that off. It's crazy to me how soft copper is. It's not even a copper. Well, it has to be copper just because it's turning blue. And that's why they used it braided there. So I can move the other side. Slide it out. That looks pretty good. So far, so good. This is cleaned up really, really nicely. Which I would not be shocked if this just fires up and functions like it did. Just a little bit of corrosion makes a big difference when it comes to electronics, right? And those points look good, don't they? Yeah. Both sides look good. Okay, so all of my connection points look good. Everything else is soldered. That's functioning fine. Maybe just knock some of the rust off of this down here. And this is fine because I can, when I got the battery in it, when I have the battery in it, I can see that we're getting power to the lights. So if I'm getting power to the lights, that's coming off of this here. And that wiring, see, here's your power coming off of that. So it must be getting power through there. These points seem fine. Just, what? That's part of life. You're fine. I realize that. Like I said, it's part of life. You'll figure it out.
I think the whole thing will go in my mouth.
You can throw the whole thing and bite it.
Daddy, no. Daddy,
Less corrosion on there, but still a lot of corrosion. This is fine. This is just mechanical. It can get cleaned up all the way around. Just want to make sure there's not. Just bite it really hard. No, not with your front teeth, with your molars back on the side. Yep. Bite it.
I can't do that.
My only concern is this bit of buildup right here. There's not a whole lot of clearance between this and the outside ring.
You can't bite it.
I don't think that that is quite abrasive enough to knock that loose. Well, that is, though. Nice having that wire reel so I can get all that loose. Don't need to go crazy on it. And then get that polished down with this. A lot better there. Maybe knock some of that loose. No, I'll use this one. No, Jen. No, Jen. Okay, so that's clean. Don't see a lot of buildup on the wiring. That's clean. This, before I get any more abrasive with any of this, that looks like the wear pattern. I'm going to leave that alone. That's actually where these two come together. Like this, so you can see that it sits in there. It's got contact. I think that'll be fine. Next piece goes in here. Nope. Jesus, magnet. And that sits in the housing and rotates once it's charged. Okay, so that's all back together. You can see the same patterns on the side here. Should just slide. Oh, you know what? Silly me. It's the same on both sides. That slides in there like that. So I'm gonna ring light. That's gonna reconnect here. Again, not worried about contacts there because that was working before. Mm-hmm. Yep, I need the housing, so I'm going to take this. This is going to sit on here like this.
You go like, connect.
This is sitting on here fine.
These connect. It looks like a face. That looks like a face.
Not yet. Hold on. Because this needs to slide in between it. Don't quite have the clearance.
Look how much scratches there are right here.
Okay, there we go. All right, everything's seated down in there.
Now you need this.
Correctly. And that's my bearing. Stop, please. This, though, is a little out of whack. I'm curious if there isn't a groove. Stop. Just stop for a moment. If there isn't a groove where that lays down in, this can go back here.
Hello? I catched
Where'd
it.
my tiny screwdriver go? It's right here. Okay, so
I catched it the screw with my bucket.
caught the screwdriver. So this, I'm going to take this, and all of this wiring needs to get tucked back in here. And I don't have small enough fingers to do all that. But these have to be stacked. So red first. Can't really see it, can you? Stop, Jackson. Black second.
Look at Daddy. There's a pepper growing.
Yes.
A red one.
This piece goes in here. And that connects with this trigger mechanism. Okay, so that wiring is all tucked in there. I think this is pretty much the biggest pain, is getting all of this back together appropriately. When looking at that, that has to sit right there, right? So the real question is, does that mean that that needs to slide in there? Because it won't pass that right now. 100%. So that actually helps keep that in place. This can pop into there. Okay, good. I'm going to say we're 90% back together. This.
When do you need this?
I think now we're pretty much back together. So we'll get you your screw gun here, Jackson.
My screw gun's right there.
Yeah, you gotta wait. Put all the housing back together. I don't even know. We probably should just put one screw in it, just to kind of hold it in here nicely. All right, Jackson, go ahead. Go.
I'm trying.
Hold on. Go. Go. You doing it? Okay, good. Next one. Let's just put a couple up here. And this top one, go ahead and screw that one in.
Ah.
Okay. Okay, next one. Okay, next one.
Got it in there.
Oh, might need to snap these in before I get too far along here.
Gotta screw it.
Just closing the housing up.
I don't think so.
This does not have a ton of torque, so that helps be a little bit more delicate with it. It's got all the way around and then right here. No, we don't need those, just leave those. So now, well, actually, let's put this one back here. Put it right there.
So we can screw it right together. I'll do it.
Just squeeze it. Keep going. Good, good. So that actually tightened the housing up there. And this actually snapped closer together so I can drop that guy down the hole. And we need to use, no, we can't use that.
That one is
This is
so far
hand
down.
drive T10. Okay, so everything's back together. Here is the sister or brother, however you want to. So just to prove, battery's good to go. Okay. Very curious. Ooh. So that's better. I didn't hear, we're not getting any movement. Oh. She did move. Yep. Look at that. She wouldn't do anything before.
Now it works a little better. It doesn't make... Now it works.
I can smell something.
What can you smell?
It all has to do with contact back in here. So. Works is kind of a relative term, but if I take this now, I'm curious, and we take it and give it any torque.
It does work!
Wow.
It did not even make any loud sounds!
So let's take, we've got a block here. Where do we have a Phillips over here? What did you do with all the Phillips bits?
Maybe they're in...
Did you put them in the...
Look in the tool bag.
Clearly not like brand new, but let's just try to drive one of these out of here. No, nothing. Not that way. Boy, that is just a contact.
It won't work.
Yeah, I just had it run a second ago. I don't think it's not like a draw on the battery or anything. Battery's fine.
Yeah, but it won't work on that one.
Well, is it a contact back in here, you know? Yeah, probably. I reverse then.
A minute ago you had it working.
Mm-hmm. But I'm just really curious if it isn't a contact point on the battery where those need to just be put into like a vinegar solution.
This one works.
Yeah.
This one.
Well, we're getting closer. I'm going to tear this thing apart again and figure out what the issue is. I mean, it could be even just power supply here, because when it's running, I'm fine here, but I wonder if, like, as this, you know, that whatever that was right here in that housing.
Push it all the way down, maybe it will work.
Try it.
You have to push a little bit harder.
Yeah. I think it's in the trigger.
You have to go like...
Because the actual, like up here is working just fine. So we'll tear it all apart and take a look at it some more. But I think we're getting closer. So if I can figure out what the corrosion issue is in the trigger, then we can
battery.
get it ripped apart really quick and maybe going. Still curious where, because earlier we've got the battery connected. Tempted it. Let's see if we can just connect the battery with this sitting open like this. The battery's connected. It was interesting because if you switched positions, which I don't see why I can't switch there right now. Okay, there we go. I don't know why they won't slide back and forth with this set here. The lights work, so we're getting power. Question is why. Oh, this gets stuck in here. See, I can actually rotate that, but not enough to get it to turn. So I don't know if that's an issue here, where this is not, you know, whether that has something stuck, you know what I mean? Because you hold this and rotate this, feels sticky. I don't get that, why that feels sticky. If that's something to do with how I have it set it, now I can't even get it to shift. But I can feel it's getting power and it wants to move. The question is, do I have something wrong with how I've got that set in there? So that turns. Is it rubbing up against this housing here? Where like this should be forward more and out of the way? Or maybe like this needs to be flipped? There we go. Hold that in. See, you can get a little bit of torque there. My question is, why is that getting stuck? The question is, what if I hit it with some WD-40? whether or not that would, lubricate that inside a little bit so that can move. So, okay, I'm going to get some WD-40. We're going to try to get some more of that stuff cleaned up in there. Wasn't that hard to get all this back together. You can feel there's a little heat buildup here. But this has got a bit of a rub. Whereas this has a plastic housing. I also do not remember when I took this apart if this had a direction that it went. So this is the magnet here, and this is your coil. Can't see that it's dragging anywhere on any of this. Got a little bit of heat on it. This back here seemed fine. Seems a little bit dumb to do this, but who knows? Maybe that'll help. Because again, like WD-40 is not a lubricant. It breaks down corrosion and stuff like that. And here, just get that all the way around on that. Just to clean that up a little bit. So maybe that contact point, there's less gunk touching where it shouldn't be touching. Could also be back here that maybe it's not getting a clean enough contact so that it's got the torque it needs to spin. This is just a straight shaft all the way through, and this is a bearing that sits in that housing. Seem clean enough. See, it's starting to clean up a little bit, but that was there before, I assume, when it was not new, but prior to any moisture being introduced into there. And I think all of the rest of the connections are tight, like clean enough. Do not want to get a bunch of garbage down in there. See if I can blow that out. Oh yeah, that blasts it right out of there. Nice to just have air on demand. But I really don't think that is my major issue here with this. When this sits in here a certain way, so if I'm looking at it, that means that it sits like this. Oh, no, that's not my other piece of housing. If you look at the housing here, this flat block here should keep that from moving. I'm not cleaning this up because I'm worried about the stuff inside. More just so I can see it a little bit better. Because the way that this ring sits down in here should sit like that in this position, which should keep this from rotating at all. Because this is supposed to be blocked up against it to hold that in place. And that should give you the space that you need, the appropriate space setup, because this shaft is held, here. Curious, though, that this notch doesn't have a place or a home sitting in this. So I thought maybe it was a connection, here, but that seems to work. Though, I will say this, not like it's supposed to. There we go. That peep clicks on and then stays on for a while. So I wonder if there isn't something in this trigger inside this actual mechanism. Inside here. Oh, don't want to do that. You can see those contact points there dumping power down in there like they're supposed to, which is good. So just tear this apart, disassemble this battery piece here. Just release that. Get it off the battery, put it all back together again, and see if she'll do what she's supposed to do. I hate this piece right here. Just because tucking these wires down in here is a pain. Okay, that's how that's supposed to go-ish. There we go, that looks right. This is that little channel in it, which I think, if I remember correctly, this has got to come out first. That's what I'm saying, this thing sucks. Right there as far as that. Being able to tuck all these wires down in here after you get that set. Part of the pain is just having big hands. Red wire in. Black wire in. Straighten that out. That sits in there nicely now. This is in here nice. That could go back and forth. Could come up. Get that trigger to drop in where it's supposed to. Okay. That's all set. Now this actually needs to be, those need to be pulled apart. I don't know if you can see that, but those need to be pulled apart because that's where our shaft sits. This slides in here, which, yep. See, and that's what I'm saying, like that. Between the front and the back should give that the space that it needs to ride in between there and spin freely, because there should be just a little air gap in between that to allow it to rotate. It feels like it's not doing that when I've got it set. But the nice part is, let's get these springs out. That's in. this installed appropriately. And that shaft sits right down in there. That bearing sits between the front and the back. And that's got clearance. Where did I lose it at? There it is, right here in front of me. This then slides in here. Got these two. One is different, so this one sits on the opposite side. This keys into that shaft. Could have been I was just an idiot and reassembled it incorrectly. Because remember, you can see these have got those pieces. I know this has got to go on the opposite side. And that's got to sit over the top. I think that sits down in there. Let's try this again. Pull it apart. There's a ring on it. And there's even a key on the ring. That's not right, because that is going to sit right here. See this little notch here? Fits into the ring, and there are 3 different locations where it can actually sit into. So it must be this one, where it turns down and locks up against it. It's not that. It's not that. Oh. Which makes sense because this has got a gap right here that fits over the top of this. Couldn't have fit it in there another way. Interesting. Okay. So then that means that this fits in here, rotates down, locks. This then fits into there, rotates and locks. Oh, I'm gonna pull these wires loose. Like I said, the wires on this trigger assembly are a pain. This needs to slide in much further. Whole thing together out here. See these splines here fit into the back of this strip. There we go. That's right. Now let's drop that whole thing in there. That's right. That's right. This is square where it needs to be. This needs a cap. There we go. That's set down in there nicely. That's in there nicely. That's in there nicely. This is where it's supposed to be. Stooping over looking at this is a pain. Okay, so I think I've got all of these torqued down appropriately. So the housing's tight. You can see that's tight all the way around. tight there. This moves freely in here. I don't feel any tension on that at all. This trigger will not flip one way or the other. That pisses me off. Let's try it with a battery. Means I'm gonna have to tear it apart anyway. Man, works perfectly. But this right here, so this directional switch is jammed up, and I give it a little bit of pressure, it doesn't matter. Dang, that works good. So it must have been just something was bound up in the housing here. Well, there you go. If that thing gets jammed up in a bunch of water, you can take yours apart and clean it and get all the contact points again the way that they're supposed to. And I guess before I get too excited, let's see if it'll pull a screw out. Oh, whoops. Yeah, sorry, that's driving. These are all pre-drilled holes, so didn't have a ton of work to do, but oh yeah. Snap and pop, and she's back. So that just saved me $100 on buying a new screw gun. I just have to take this apart and get this thing loose, which I'm sure the way that the wires guide back up in there, there's some issue there, but daggone, that's awesome. Okay, hopefully last time. Now you can see that switches back and forth. I had it in the wrong spot, but oh, so finicky. Okay, there we go. Does it drive screws? See if we can pull one out. You know what I did? That, either I put this in backward, or when we plug back those wires, it's backwards, which is fine. Do I want to tear that apart? Did I unplug those? I think I did unplug those. Do I want to tear this apart and put that back in again? A little finicky. I do think it's something in the trigger. No hole. Wrong size bit for these screws. Huh. Either way, it works. Tore apart and fixed a DCF 885 1/4-inch impact. So, way better than buying another one. My son, I think, dropped this in this bucket of water over here, and it was literally just, I came over and it was laying in a bucket of water, and it probably was in there for a couple of days. So there you go, all fixed.